Genesis, the beginning. Terminal, the end. But just looking into the name suggests Valve is up to something. The Genesis Terminal and all subsequent terminals isn't just a new collection. It's the beginning of something new, not only a rejection of the case system they have implemented for the past 10 years, but the beginning of a brand new way in which all CS players will interact with the market. These will change, fundamentally, how money moves throughout CS2. Quick side note before we go any deeper. Alright, giveaway. A winner. You get a gut knife vanilla. From me, all you gotta do is subscribe, so I'll make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Then you gotta tag ohnepixel, heyzeus, and Flam. I'm gonna try and get those motherfuckers to watch this, 'cause I think it's interesting, and I feel like that covers like most of the globe. And then I'll check if you did that shit, and if you did, I guess you just send me proof, and then I'll announce it on like a live stream. Thank you for watching. Peace out. So Steam, owned by Valve, makes its money in a bunch of different ways. The first cash flow being the client itself. Steam takes a cut of each game sale, a recent development, but Steam makes their own hardware. We have the Steam Deck, which is like a DS for Redditors. We have Valve's own IPs, which they get, the full 100% share of each sale, the community market, and all the transactions that make up the market itself. Now, most of that cash inflow, we can thank the Counter-Strike case itself. You pay $2.50 for a chance to win a skin that features 18 to 20 works from community developers in the workshop. This is Valve's cash cow. This thing rakes in billions of dollars per year. But starting in the early 2020s and, starting to manifest in 2023, the European Union, the Counter-Strike's biggest community by far, has started to take a negative stance on loot boxes and the dangers it causes to children and, adults in Europe, right? Games are outright banned if they are not willing and able to take out the loot boxes from their games. The small but big CS fan Belgians have now no access to loot boxes. Belgian officials, on their definition of what a loot box is something that's purchasable with real-world money. Keep that in mind. The also rather small country of the Netherlands also places a ban on loot boxes. Their description is a little bit different. It's something that impacts the performance in game, and it's also something that you can now, once you have it, trade for currency in real life. France, the largest country of the three, hasn't placed an explicit ban yet. However, Valve tried to simmer down tensions in the country by releasing the X-ray case, which allows you to see what you get before you buy it. Although you do have to buy it if you want to open up another one. Now, you don't really think Valve is just going to give up that easily, right? I mean, why should they? They were given these outlines as to why their loot boxes are not allowed, but all this actually did is give them a roadmap for what to make in the future. Now, this is my theory, a two-step process that Valve has already started to undertake that will make them more money than the case system, and EU countries can't do anything about it. So Valve isn't replacing like TF2 right now. They're replacing Counter-Strike cases. They need to come up with a new system that will make them billions of dollars per year. Phase 1, knives. Now, I would say there's about 5 tiers of Counter-Strike skins that we know and are used to. The bottom, your $0 through $10 items. Think charms, stickers, blues, pinks, things you see in most lobbies, like StatTrak pinks, reds, rare charms, hollows, rare cases. That's going to be the $10 to $50 range. StatTrak reds, low and mid-tier knives. Our next tier goes from 700 to 2,000. These are like collection reds, things that are, no longer dropped, and mid to high tier knives. And then 2,000 to infinity dollars, right? Your blue gems, your rubies, sapphires, the extremely rare collection reds like the Dragon Lore, the Gungnir, the Lotus. 75% of them are sold on the community market. Your StatTrak reds and your low to mid tier knives, tier 3. I would say just about half and half are sold on either the community market or on a third-party website. 700 to 2,000, right? The Steam fee starts to get pretty egregious at these levels. So a lot of people at these top two tiers over here are starting to opt for third parties. Let's assume that tier 4, about 25% of them are sold on the Steam community market, and 0% are sold on the top. Now, using KSOS as sort of our gauge here, I would say these account for roughly 96% of our items on Counter-Strike. This around 3, and this around 1. 2 updates are released. You know them, you hate them. Update 1, the trade reversion update on July 14th. Now, either party in the trade can reverse for whatever reason. If they simply regret their decision, whatever it may be, they can revert their trade. Now, genuinely makes skins like more secure than money, so that's a positive. but this comes at the cost of liquidity. How easy it is to get your gun skin into cash in units of time. Third-party websites have to now hold your money in escrow, and that once the 7-day period is over, then you'll be rewarded with your cash. So you went from instant liquidity, you went from a highly liquid asset to a illiquid asset in one day. If you need all of your assets to be liquid, you probably shouldn't be investing in CS skins anyway. I think the annoyance that actually manifests here is for people who do trading and people who buy and sell stuff all the time and try to flip. Now let's be honest, these sellers and traders, they make up a modicum of the entire community. Most people are just selling and buying new play skins every few weeks. Third party is now off the table. Why would I wait when I can just sell my gun on the Steam community market and buy a new gun, right? If I have no need to put it into real world cash, there is no use for me to use a third party market. So Steam gains market share. I'd probably say it's now around 95% of these transactions are taking place on the community market. People who hold StatTrak Reds or low to mid knives, to a lesser extent because of fees, but we'll say 75. Much less of an impact on this one. We could just go to maybe 27% they get on the community market now. Now everything's fine and dandy for a few weeks until October 23rd, Doomsday. Valve hits us with a nuke in which you can trade 5 reds for 1 knife or a glove depending on the collection you use. Now I'm sure you know what happened. It's been a week, right? Market crashes 50%. Now we've recovered. Joke's on you, guy in my comments section. However, we've recovered in a different way. Our lower tier knives and our lower tier gloves, they go down in price. And while you see YouTube videos of people getting, the craziest shit, I would venture to guess that 85% of them resulted in safari meshes. So we lose value there, but where does that value go? Well, right into the inputs, the reds. So reds become valuable. People start to open more cases to get reds. People use pinks, purples, and blues to trade up to reds. So the price of everything, blues through red, go up because now there's a connection between the coloreds and the yellows. That sounds terrible. And a little bit of these knives right here, and maybe a few up here, just decrease a little bit for where they can start to be sold in the community market and not be seen as, a completely stupid sell. And as we know, Valve makes 15% on each community market sale. So with these two updates, they have increased the volume in which people use the Steam community market by probably 200 to 300%. Now that's nice and all, but that is just an effect of the updates that took place. That's not even close to their main goal, because we have to solve the changing sentiment on cases. Now this is my theory, and it involves both the Genesis Terminal and all subsequent terminals that come after it, and the Armory. I believe that in the next coming weeks, players will be able to buy terminal skins and exchange their original items for Armory stars. And by original items, I'm referring to the little badge you get when you purchase a terminal skin that certifies you are an original owner of the skin. Right? It's been in the code for months. We've seen data that suggests that Valve is working on a system at the moment in which players can exchange Armory stars for skins. Now how will that solve the loss in revenue we would get from cases? Follow me. Now because of those last 2 updates in issue 1, reds now have a new floor price. Right? When the terminal first came out and people were paying $2,000 for a red, they were like, this is nuts. Does it seem so nuts now? Now let's say player A opens up a terminal, he gets lucky, he gets the AK Coalition. Factory new, and Valve charges $400 for it. Mind you, with these cases, they also control floats and can charge more for floats, which is a fucking different story for a different day. Player A decides to buy the Coalition, and Valve gets $400. So with one sale, Valve just made the equivalent of 160 cases. So player B really wants the AK, but he doesn't feel like putting $400 into a Steam account. But he's been collecting stars over the last couple of months. And he wins the bid, and he pays 900 Armory stars for the AK Coalition. Now, Valve doesn't get their signature 15% cut, but what they do get is the money that player B spent on 23 passes, my bad, that he had to purchase and earn in-game. So from this one transaction, Valve has made $740. Let's not forget, when a new AK comes out and player B's eyes go right towards it, he's going to sell his Coalition, and Valve will get a 15% cut on that in the future. Now you might be asking yourself, wouldn't this ruin value that we have for stars? Nope, because with this system, genius, the supply of stars stays exactly the same. We're not adding new stars into the market. so we have the same value. No inflation is going on here, right? Player A or Player B, whoever it was, had to sit down and earn those fucking 900 stars. We've just allowed to sell his stars for money in the form of a gun. And while these stars are circulating, while people buy and sell terminal guns, stars are not being allocated towards the actual armory collections, right? There's no new stars coming in. We're just seeing less go into the collections, right? Like a charm will start at $20, but over time it'll probably go down to like 12 and then sit there for a year or so. That time in which it takes to find its equilibrium is going to take much longer because people simply aren't using their stars on the market. People simply aren't using stars on the armory. So prices stay inflated. Valve gets a 15% cut of all armory stickers and charms being sold on the market. So what have we done here? We've introduced the terminal. We offer you a choice to buy which skin you'd like. Therefore, it's not a loot box. So now Dutch players can buy terminals. Dutch players can buy the skin they're offered and sell them for armory stars, our new in-game currency. They can use their armory stars, which they've earned in-game technically, to open up armory collections, which function a lot like cases. And because we used our in-game currency to get armory collections and fever cases that are in the armory right now, Belgian players can also use the terminal system. The community market is closed off, right? CS Float exists, and I think Counter-Strike lets it coexist because it keeps prices of most things artificially high. But in their terms of service, they clearly state that they are not affiliated with them and that all Steam funds that are put into the client cannot be taken out, which is true. Therefore, it cannot be transferred into real-world currency. Valve is now following all guidelines issued to them by the EU. And they've successfully implemented gambling back into the countries that have banned it. I mean, the amount of money in which Valve is about to make is going to make cases look like a mistake. Now, they've been setting this up for months, it seems like. Don't just remove the third-party markets. You let them exist so people can get out if they need to. But you take 90% of their market share by instilling into the player base that they can't actually trust these websites during times of high volatility, as seen by all the reversals that are happening last week. More skins in circulation on the Steam community market. 15% off the top of every community transaction, which we've now increased by taking more market share. And the sale, resale, and purchasing of each terminal skin that is open for the rest of time. Cases will no longer come out, I don't believe. But what I would be doing personally, I'm going to buy some terminal cases, because that will now be the key to entry in order to sell and move armory stars. I don't even have to play anymore, I could just get armory stars. And I will be buying stuff in the armory collections. People are going to be too busy spending shit on guns in the terminals that they're going to forget about the armory collections, and there just simply isn't going to be a high supply when they get removed. Future plans from here, I think Valve would be smart to partner with like Faceit and just allow them to earn armory stars in-game. Just adds more players to your market. Probably doubles your market cap because those players take the game seriously and probably spend the most on skins out of anyone. Also, I think sticker trade-ups probably happen, but only in the armory. Like you could trade up stickers that are in the armory for other armory collections. Same thing with charms, but I don't think they go to like major stickers because I believe that's illegal. But that is my theory. Let me know what you think. I found myself going down so many different rabbit holes and tangents. I could make quite a bit more videos like this if you guys care to see them. So thank you for watching, and I will see you guys soon. Later.